A phone rings in a kitchen in Scottsdale, Arizona. A mother picks it up. For the next 4 minutes, she will believe she is listening to her own daughter being murdered. The voice on the line is sobbing. It says one word: Mom. Nothing else needs saying. Jennifer DeStefano would later describe that voice to reporters in her own words. It was completely her voice, her inflection. It was never a question of who is this. Somewhere behind the crying, a man's voice cuts in. Her daughter has been kidnapped, he says. He wants $1 million. He wants it now. Jennifer DeStefano's daughter was never in danger. She was over 100 miles away, training at a ski resort with her father, phone in her pocket. Completely unaware that her mother was on the floor of a parking lot, negotiating for her life. Investigators were never able to formally confirm that the voice on that call had been artificially generated. To Jennifer DeStefano, that detail barely matters. In the moment that counted, her own ears could not tell the difference, and neither, this film will argue, could yours. So here is the question this film is actually about. Not how do scams work, something colder. If the one sound your brain trusts more than anything else on earth, your own child's voice, can now be manufactured by a total stranger in seconds for almost nothing, what exactly is left to trust? Let's build the room this happened in. For most of human history, a voice could not be forged. A signature, yes. A face in a photograph, eventually, with enough skill. But a voice, the specific rasp of it, the way a person breathes right before they laugh, the private catch in their throat when they cry, that was biology. That was proof of life. Mothers have used it to find their children in the dark for 200,000 years. No password required. You just had to hear them. That proof quietly expired around January 2023. That's when a small company called 11 Labs put a tool online that let anyone clone a human voice from a short recording. The company's own claim, about 30 seconds of audio is enough. Within weeks, researchers at the security firm McAfee ran their own test just to see how far the technology could really be pushed. They didn't need 30 seconds. They needed 3 to 4 seconds, less time than it takes to say, "I love you, be safe," to build a voice that was, on average, 85% accurate to the original. Feed the system more audio, and the accuracy climbs to 95. In their broader survey of people who had already been targeted by one of these calls, 77% had lost money before they hung up the phone. 3 to 4 seconds. Now think, for a moment, about how many seconds of your own voice already exist somewhere on the internet, right now, that you forgot were ever recorded. A birthday video. A voicemail greeting nobody ever deletes. A clip your own kid posted, tagging you, just because you laughed at something. That's the raw material. Now here is the part that should actually unsettle you, because it isn't really about the technology. It's about the machinery already sitting inside your own skull. In 2026, a marketing researcher named Kimberly Hyun published a study that, on its surface, had nothing to do with scams at all. She was trying to understand why certain voices sell more products than others, running listeners through controlled experiments, cross-referencing thousands of investment pitches and crowdfunding campaigns with machine learning voice analysis. What she found was this: when a voice sounds familiar, matched in tone and texture to a voice you already know, your skepticism doesn't get lowered, it gets switched off. Her own words. Similar voices are more persuasive, even when someone has no other reason to think a speaker is more credible. You don't consciously decide to trust it. There is no decision to make. The trust simply arrives before the thought does. That is the exact 4 seconds Jennifer DeStefano lived through.
Her brain did not run a background check on that voice. It never had the chance.
It matched a pattern it had known since her daughter was born, and it acted on that match instantly, the way it was built to. So, is this one freak phone call? A single, unlucky family?
The FBI's own numbers say otherwise.
In its 2025 annual report, the Bureau logged more than 22,000 complaints tied to AI-enabled fraud, detailing losses near $893 million in a single year. Separately, the FTC now reports that impersonation scams are the single most reported category of fraud in the country.
Responsible for $3.5 billion in losses.
Among older Americans specifically, the number of people reporting losses over $100,000 to a scam has grown 8-fold in just 4 years. Here is where the story gets more uncomfortable, not less. Because this exact con, a stranger's voice, claiming to be your family, claiming an emergency, demanding money before you have time to think, did not begin with artificial intelligence at all. In April 2024, federal prosecutors in New Jersey charged 16 people in a scheme that had already taken millions of dollars from elderly Americans across the country using nothing but ordinary human vocal impersonation and a spoofed caller ID. Just a stranger with a decent impression, a fake phone number, and a grandparent's love for their grandchild.
No cloning software. No AI whatsoever.
The prosecutor's own words on the record, these defendants pried upon grandparents' familial love and devotion, cheating them out of millions of dollars.
Which means the machine didn't invent this crime.
It only deleted the one skill a con artist used to actually need, the ability to sound convincingly like someone else.
Now anyone can sound like anyone, for the price of a phone with a microphone.
By March 2025, federal prosecutors in Vermont were describing a version of the same scheme with the AI folded fully in
25 people, operating out of a call center, cloning the voices of grandchildren to extract $21 million from families spread across 46 states.
Same emotional trigger, same 4-minute panic window Jennifer DeStefano lived through.
The only thing that had actually changed was the cost of entry. It had dropped to almost nothing.
And here is the detail that should stay with you longest after this video ends.
It isn't a dollar figure. It's this. The people running this scam do not need to know anything specific about you. Not your bank, not your daily habits, not even your name at first. They need exactly one thing, and you have almost certainly already given it away for free. A few seconds of your family's voice sitting in public, in some video neither of you thought twice about posting. You are not a target because you were careless.
You are a target because you are human, and humans post the sound of the people they love.
Governments have started, slowly, to notice.
In February 2024, the FCC ruled that AI-generated voices used in robocalls are illegal outright. A decision triggered by one very specific incident, an AI-cloned recording of a sitting president's voice, robocalling New Hampshire voters days before their primary, telling them not to bother showing up. The political operative behind that call was fined $6 million.
The telecom company that carried the calls paid a further $1 million.
And in April 2026, a sitting U.S. senator sent formal letters to 4 of the largest voice cloning companies in the world, demanding to know exactly what safeguards, if any, stop a stranger from cloning a stranger's own grandchild. As of this recording, none of those companies have offered a complete answer. So where does that actually leave you? For 200,000 years, the human voice was the one form of identification nobody ever had to think about.
You didn't need a password for your own mother. You just needed to hear her. That single instinct kept infants alive, kept families intact across every dark room and every bad connection in the whole of human history. That instinct is now a vulnerability with a price tag attached.
3 to 4 seconds of audio, free software,
And a piece of your own capacity to trust, quietly weaponized and aimed back at you by someone who has never once met you in person. The only real defense anyone has found so far is almost embarrassingly low-tech.
families sitting down in advance, agreeing on a private word or phrase that no public video could ever leak.
A password for the people you love most, built for a world where their actual voice can no longer prove that it's them.
Jennifer DeStefano hung up the phone that day and drove straight to find her daughter just to hear her voice in person.
Not through a speaker, not through a call, standing 3 feet away, watching her actually breathe. That is what certainty costs now, not suspicion, proximity.
The next call that sounds exactly like someone you love might in fact be exactly that, someone you love.
Or it might be 3 seconds of them, borrowed by a stranger you'll never see, and handed back to you as a weapon. You will not be able to tell the difference by listening. And that is the part no software update will ever fix.